Thank you.
Protect our children.
Yeah. Well, swearing in inside is 9:30.
Yeah, I'll reach out to them for you because they have the good over the parent group. Okay.
What was that?
That brings you to the Capitol.
Trying to raise awareness of the harms of gender ideology and trying to get California legislators to listen to people who understand.
Hey there, what brings you to the Capitol today?
I'm a parent of a trans-identified child, and I'm here to speak out against this ideological cult that the activists are pushing on our children. If we don't speak out, who will? We've lived it.
How long have you been in California?
My entire life.
Native.
Yes.
This is a personal pursuit.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Good morning. What brings you to the Capitol today?
Yeah, I'm Sophia Lori with California Family Council, and just to bring awareness of the problems that transitioning brings to children. You know, the legislators need to see how harmful it is to children, and not those that are being transitioned, they're being have harm being brought to them, but also those that aren't. We have men going into girls' locker rooms. We have men playing in girls' sports. It's ruining opportunities for girls. Girls are getting harmed. They're getting hurt on the field. They're being basically it's sexual assault and abuse to be in the bathroom and have their genitals out with these young girls. So it's bringing harm to everyone, even the people that choose to stay out of this issue. So the legislators need to see firsthand how their votes are affecting children across California and the entire nation.
Do you believe there's a shift in the nation at the moment, or the state?
I do believe there's a shift. You're seeing parents realize the horror of what is happening here at the Capitol and the decisions our legislators are making, and parents are standing up and they're using their voices and they're making calls, and they're coming to events like this to make sure legislators see what's going on. So this is the turning issue, I think, here in the state.
Thank you for your participation today.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good.
I hope you can help protect our children.
Good.
That was a similar man.
Are you okay?
What's up? All right.
Good morning. What brings you here?
Hi, my name is Greg Burt. I also work with the California Family Council, and as you see our sign, puberty is not a disease, and so it shouldn't be stopped with puberty blockers, and that's what's happening here at the Capitol. The Capitol is almost threatening to take away kids from parents who don't want their kids to be sterilized with puberty blockers. The state is passing all kinds of laws promoting what they call gender-affirming care, which is sterilizing kids, harming their bodies, just because they're confused about their gender, and it needs to stop.
What debate are you receiving most from the opposition in protection of gender affirming care?
They claim that they are doing this because kids are committing suicide, and if they don't sterilize them with puberty blockers, these confused kids are going to be a threat to suicide. But they have no long-term stats that actually happens. Suicide is high for transgendered struggling kids, and sterilizing themselves and permanently taking off their breasts, so they're ruining their reproductive systems. Once they realize that didn't help, there's a euphoria at the beginning, but long term it is not helpful. So the side effects are just terrible. We have to stop doing this to our kids.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Sure.
Sorry.
Good morning. What brings you here today?
How are you? Hi, I'm Yvette Corcoran.
Please help us protect children.
Helping to raise awareness.
AB 665, AB 957, AB 223, SB 407. Stop taking our children from us.
Thanks, Yvette.
Yes. So helping to raise awareness and educate our community on the horrors that are transpiring right now in our legislation, in our schools. Right now, our children are ranked 50 out of 50 in California, in the country in arithmetic, reading, writing. They're spending millions of dollars in gender fluidity care. We need to be catching our children back into
Academics.
in academics that are going to help them succeed in life versus confusing them about their gender. We don't need to be teaching our children sexuality and how to masturbate when they're in second and third grade. This is just it's pretty evil. It's horrific what they're doing. And right now, 1 in 4 girls are wanting to identify as a boy right now. That is not normal. This was not an occurrence 10 years ago, and it's not because more children are being born this way. No, they're being taught this in the schools, so they're being indoctrinated. We need to stop what's going on in the schools. Federally, they need to stop federally funding these schools that are indoctrinating our children. And parents need to wake up. To be inclusive and to love all doesn't mean that you have to mutilate your child's personality, their brain, their gender, and their genitalia. So we need to fight. Know what's going on with these bills, the 4 bills that we were just speaking about. And protect our children.
Those signs.
Never sacrifice our children.
Yes.
Yeah, we can never deter. We can never surrender or sacrifice our children. As I was saying, 1 in 4 girls are identifying as boys right now. Most of the children, 30% or higher of these children, are autistic, and then the ones that either are autistic, the majority of them have been sexually or physically traumatized, and they haven't addressed the trauma of, what they went through. That's why they're not wanting to identify as who they are.
AB 957.
And then 1 in 4 of these children.
No. I'm pointing to Greg.
1 in 4 of these children, after transitioning and mutilating their body, they commit suicide. So they're dying one way or another. Either they're being sterilized, they're having complications with their bodies, committing suicide because they haven't addressed their trauma, or maybe committing suicides because of the adverse effects, infections, and complications that may have occurred after the surgeries. This is just horrific what they're going to do.
Californians aren't aware.
Californians need to wake up.
Thank you for speaking out for us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I almost made
Stop
a yellow
it.
sign that
Don't
said,
laugh
"We're
about
not
it.
communist China."
Find justice too. Run away. They're going to do that.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Good morning. What brings you to the Capitol?
Well, we
Are you the Oakland crew? Yeah. Let's go.
We're here to protest.
Louder. Sorry.
We're here to protest a few bills
a few bills that are really bad. One of them that we really are against is the first one is, I don't know which, I think it's 659. I'm not sure, but it's the one where
665?
yeah, where the affirming parent gets the child.
The other parent has no
no
call
rights.
it. Yeah.
Look this way.
Um,
Look this way. Read our signs.
Just for a second.
I totally forgot what.
Destroying our children.
Oh my God.
She was 957. So hard to keep track of.
Thank you so much. We'll be back. No, you're good.
So, AB5, continue.
Require that teachers be educated and re-educated year after year to believe that any kid who's gender questioning is going to commit suicide. So we are turning the faucet on at the public schools. We are requiring these teachers to transition kids and actually to believe in a new religion called gender ideology that is based on a belief system. It's not based on fact. It's going to push these teachers to teach falsehoods in science, that there are more than two sexes. This is what that bill is designed. Our tax dollars are paying for it. And these teachers, after they get told this year in, year in, and year out, they're going to believe this. And we're going to create more gender confused kids.
So it's a training of the teachers.
Correct. And part of that training, like I said, part of that training is to say that the parents who will not accept that their child is trans, who want their child to grow up in their, perfect bodies, who will hold the line, who believe in reality. These teachers will be told that the parents are bigots and transphobes and hateful. That's what they're going to be told. These teachers are going to be taught that, hey, child, you can go to this counselor down the street and you can get a binder. Hey, child, if you don't want to stay with your parents anymore, you can go to a residential facility because that's AB 665. So they all are tied together. It is a wagon circling our children. This is one bill in the wagon that is circling our children. And teachers will fall for it because they will have their heartstring pulled. They will be told, these kids will commit suicide if you don't lie to the parents, if you don't hide this from the parents. And teachers will be engaged in bringing new clothes for the kids at school. They have things called gender transition closets at school, where the child can come in dressed as one way and then change their clothes and dress another way. They have free trans tapes, which can be used by boys to tuck up their secondary sex characteristics, in between their legs, which can cause sterility. The trans tape can also be used to bind young girls' breasts to the point of where they have trouble breathing. And this is being promoted and provided at our public schools today, and it's not just in California, it's in every state in the country.
When you say binder, what was it that?
A binder is something that young girls use to push down their breasts, and it deforms their ribs over time. It makes it very difficult for them to breathe, and it actually will cause their breasts to be misshapen for the rest of their lives.
So the teachers actually are required once they receive the training to bring these binders to school.
Well, they're not required to bring it. They're already at the schools. But what the teachers are going to be taught is if a young girl says, I'm a trans boy, they'll send that child down to that counselor's office or to the third party that they have contracted with to go get a free binder. Here you go. I'm going to help you. The teachers are thinking that they're being helpful.
What did you say? What was the thing they provide for the boys?
It's called trans tape, and it's like tape that they can tuck up their penises and their gonads in between their legs and tape them down so it looks flat like a woman.
that of course causes sterility for these boys. They don't actually know how quickly it will cause that, because as you probably know, there's a reason why the gonads are outside of the body, because if they get heated up, the sperm dies. And so they're doing this to kids. They're medicalizing kids in school, and it's not harmless. These interventions matter to the body.
This is inhuman.
Your face is like so like, what the heck? I mean,
I don't know.
I know you. I'm gonna have to throw up later. Yeah, I know too. I mean, we just know too much. You know what it's unbelievable. I know. Sometimes I think I'm in a funny phone. There's no way this is happening, but it's happening. It's real.
Okay. Thank you.
Lots of things happen. Lots of confusion. Oh, and let's turn your confusion into like the rest of them.
The Lord Jesus Christ crucified for your sins and rose from the grave the third day. That's good. Does anyone want it? Yeah.
No.
I.
Individual legislators want to move with the transitioning their child. That's their right. That's the day that it happened, and they are speaking, but our legislature is not listening to those who have come out and detransitioned, who have said the harm that was caused to them, life-altering harm, irreversible harm. And now we have a legislature that continues to be deaf to the concerns of parents, and they are pushing an agenda that is supporting the medical complex, and they are supporting their own agenda, but they don't care about parents, parental rights, or the children. So that's why I'm here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for speaking up and
Thank
showing
you for
up.
being here.
I appreciate
They
you.
don't need to be transitioned. Hear us. Hear our voices. Hey, Lori Wilson.
Lori's in. She already went in.
I was like, that's just a bald woman.
Yeah, that's what I said. Lori Wilson, she's my assembly person. She already went in.
I got lots of catching up.
When you spend a lot of time watching these things, you get to know.
I guess you're here. That's all.
We are expecting Governor Newsom to arrive in just a few moments. Let's see if he arrives. It's just a waiting and watching game at this point. If we can make any difference, any change, remind them the severity of each and every bill. Once again, there's at least 4 that will harm, remove children from the home. That's why we're here.
And now he's upset because we're
politicalized.
Thank you for coming with us, everyone. It's just another day in Sacramento. It's going to be 100 degrees today.
These people picked up my
Good morning.
Good morning.
Why are you at Sacramento, the capital of California, today?
I'm representing my family. This group picked up my daughter right when she turned 18 in 2 days with the big lie that she was in the wrong body. So that's why I'm here. Voicing out the voice of those little ones that are 18 years old, but they're still kids. It's proven that girls don't develop their brain until they're about 25, 26, and boys until about 26, 27. So what are they doing picking up our 18-year-old kid? And there are no laws, no law enforcement, nothing to protect our kids. And that's why I'm here, because I want to raise awareness into the Spanish community. Ponga atención, señor, señora, están mintiéndonos y nuestros hijos se nos están robando y esta gente viene por ellos. Ponga atención, no es verdad que esto existe. Esto es solamente una situación mental. Búsquele ayuda para que le ayuden a su hijo mentalmente, pero no hormonas, no transición, porque es mentira. Esto es para llevarnos a la primer orden mundial. Eso es todo. Proteja a sus hijos. No los deje en las escuelas. Sáquelo de las escuelas. Hágale escuela en casa. Y no los deje en las iglesias, no los deje en los kindergarten, no los deje, porque es una mentira y están agarrando a niños de padres que no tienen 2 padres, niños hispanos de madres que trabajan 3 trabajos. Esos son los niños que se nos llevan cuando no hay un hombre en casa. Ponga atención. And that's why I'm here, because I'm raising my voice. How come we don't have laws for 18 years old, or in general, why do they not protect our kids? Why they turn their face the other way? That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. And pharmaceutical is making an experiment. The hormones are not even FDA approved, just like COVID was a hoax. This is a hoax, just to get rid of our kids and in our families, just dividing our families.
How long have you been in California?
My husband teaches
my whole life.
Thank you for speaking.
And I'm disgusted now about California. Look what they're doing to us. And we're paying their salary. And they don't even turn their eye to us. They don't even give us a hello. All of these politicians. And we don't need government. We need to self-govern ourselves. We need the Bill of Rights. We need the Constitution. We don't need this. So wake up, people. We need your help. We need to get united. We need to raise our awareness and our voices so people will know. Media is lying. The so-called media is just propaganda. They're lying to the people. Just like they lied about COVID because pharma was making a lot of money. $33,000 for every exam and $100,000 for every death. Yeah, they almost killed my mom too. They almost did. Remdesivir. That was the big lie about Remdesivir. And if I did not know what I know, she will be dead right now.
Are you with your daughter now?
I haven't seen her in 124 days. They picked her up, and I don't know anything about her. And these people, this police people don't do anything. And they can facilitate me. They know where she is, according to them. But because she's 18, I'm a harassing religious mother because they politicize my situation. That's why I'm upset.
because this is not about left or right, blue or red. This is about God and evil. This is what's about. God and evil.
Would you like to share your name with us or no?
My name is Tanya. And the world will know that my name is Tanya and she was fighting for her daughter here at the Capitol. And one day she will see this, because one day she will come back to her family, because God is good and God will not embarrass his people.
Thank you, Tanya.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm so sorry.
Good morning.
Calvary.
Are you live on TikTok?
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
Yeah. It'll go somewhere.
Okay, cool.
Want to chat?
Yeah.
I just can't take you too far over.
So I wanted to ask you a
Good
question.
morning.
Good morning.
Nothing.
Okay. Good morning. Yeah. So we're here at the state capitol.
Who are
My
you?
name is Max Bonilla.
Yes.
I just turned 18 like not that long ago. But basically, we're here. You know, there's a protest. There's a rally against gender ideology here. You know, on the other side of the Capitol, all the legislators and their staffers and their family members, etc., came in because there's a switch of the speakership today as we speak. So Speaker Anthony Rendon, who's Speaker of the Assembly, is heading out of that position. They already have a speaker designate, and that is Robert Rebus. And so Robert Rebus is coming in. So what I've told everybody here is that, Governor Newsom's supposed to be here because Robert Rebus is an ally of his. I mean, I'm sure they've got him in. I see parts of his caravan like scattered all over the place. It's like a flock. And these people are good at getting him out. But essentially, we're here because there's a plethora of bad bills, and then also a couple of laws that a couple of bills that got passed in the law last year that are pretty, I would say, Orwellian, pretty dystopian. I mean, you have SB 107, which was written by Scott Wiener, right? Scott Wiener's, obviously, he's a pretty bad senator. I'm not very fond of him. I've talked to him before. I mean, I've talked in front of him. I testified next to him on a bill that he wrote last year. But there's SB 107, which essentially made California a trans sanctuary state. And I think that title is very deceiving, right? Because they're making it about trans kids, right? Or whatever. But the reality is that Pharma was behind it. Scott Wiener received $12,500 to write that bill and to pass that bill and to pass the package of bills he passed last year. So they're getting lobbied for these bills, right? So it's not like it's just like coming out of nowhere. You know what I mean? This is big Pharma, big problem. This is big money for these people to exploit children, and that's what I've mentioned. And people have said it's rights to get health care. It's not exploitation. Like, I couldn't imagine getting myself mutilated. That just sounds awful. It sounds gross to me. I can't, even think of the thought. And so just the fact that they've made that law means that an adult from another state, essentially we're endangering children from other states and not just this state, because an adult could be trafficking a child and bring them in and say, look, this child wants a gender surgery procedure or, gender reassignment surgery, or they want HRT. And they'll gladly give it to them with the consent of that adult. They don't really care who that adult is. And then, you've got some bills passing this year. You've got SB 407, which doesn't allow, foster care parental candidates essentially to become foster parents if they're not going to be gender affirming, if they're not going to follow the model where a 7-year-old says they have gender dysphoria, they have issues, and then they're all of a sudden their first move is affirming that child, whatever that means, like the medicalization of that child. So that's obviously dangerous because, 4 out of 5 times this child is going to get over that gender dysphoria. 4 out of 5 times this child is going to move on with their lives and, get over it. So, and then we also have another AB 957. The state is just oppressive. They're infringing on in every way possible. AB 957 would allow the state to get involved in parental custody cases. So essentially, you could have one parent who says they affirm the child at, who want, you could have a boy who wants to transition to be a to be a girl, to gender-wise, and they're biologically a boy, and the parent that wants to do that will end up being the one that gets the custody. So, and then the state will also, not only that, but they'll amend what the current law is. They'll change the current law to say that the parent that decided not to affirm is a child abuser, so then they're going to give it to the one that's not a child abuser under that definition. So what they're saying is they're allowing judges their own discretion, and this being a factor in court, but the reality is this bill would usurp the judge's discretion and essentially say you should always side with the parent who's going to affirm the gender. So our lawmakers, they're bullying the courts, they're bullying the court system, they're bullying the judges. We have 3 branches of government for a reason, and they're obviously getting in the way of that. So that's why we're here today.
Thank you, Max. Max, you are extremely young and incredibly intelligent for your age, and specifying in the state of California. What brought you to awareness of your state, and why does it matter so much to you?
Well, the lockdowns really brought awareness to me, and it was like the beginning of the lockdowns that, I was already starting to get out there and criticize the governor. I didn't like really his moves necessarily. Wasn't fond of his moves during the pandemic, and it's not like everything was backed by science, but I started realizing how corrupt the political establishment is here in California. You have something called the third house, right? We have 2 houses of our legislature. The third house is that big group of lobbyists and special interests that happen to be funding, all the bills and motivating these legislators. It's just like a fancy term, I suppose. The third house has just had great influence on the state legislature for many years, and I think during the pandemic that really all got exposed to another level, because you had teachers unions that were lobbying Newsom to obviously keep the schools closed, even though there wasn't much data to back it up. And then now that we're here at this point where everything's kind of like back to normal, so to speak, you have all these people rallying against gender ideology, and I think chances are that the teachers unions are supporting the bills that are getting rammed through that support children being, taken from schools and being, essentially going through the process of HRT or mutilation. Obviously we don't have a bill that puts, essentially health clinics in schools, but they've attempted to do that over the years. So last year they were going to do that. What they want, their ultimate goal is to weaponize counselors. The counselors are unionized too, so the more positions they get for the counselors, the better it is for these guys, the better it is for the teachers.
I always learn so much from you.
They both always benefit from this. And, they're weaponizing the counselor to essentially tell your kid, what they think is in the best interest, even though it's not, what they think is in the best interest really for these guys back here, and not really what's really in the, best interest of your child. So your child's trusting these counselors. They think that they are doing what is the right thing for the child, and they're obviously not, right? So you have a bill right now that would allow kids 12 and over to consent to residential facilities. The parent will be notified. No parental consent.
Is that 957?
No, 665. It's like, when has a child ever made a good decision? You know what I mean? Like, when is a 12-year-old making good decisions? Yep. And it says they can declare them mature. I mean, when is a 12-year-old mature? It's all anecdotal. You do have mature 12-year-olds, but it's anecdotal because it's rare. It's not like something that's very common. But you have, like I said, these guys at the back of the building, they're just stuffing schools with counselors, saying it's solving the mental health crisis, when all these counselors do is supply antidepressants and HRT.
One of our commenters said he hasn't been indoctrinated. Fact. You're special.
Yeah. Well, some people say, to insult me, some people say I'm special needs. Some people say I have Down syndrome in the comments on TikTok. And people are pretty brutal. You know what I mean?
Who cares?
I really don't care. I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to fight. There's people that have accused me of killing women, killing children, killing all kinds of. Yeah, I know. Seriously.
Your knowledge is powerful. Share it with everyone. Everyone your age.
I appreciate that.
And older and younger. Thank you. Just going around town. You want to chat at all?
What's it going to be on YouTube?
We're on, yep, it's YouTube, it's live.
Oh, it's live?
Yep, it's up to you. No worries.
What is the channel?
I'll give you my card. Hi. Good morning, Ted. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
What's going on today? What brings you to the Capitol?
I'm trying to support our duty.
Yep.
Get the word out.
Yep. A lot of our followers have seen your testimony. Not the Rachel Pepper. Who was it? With the horrible website, Dr. It was really inappropriate. It was probably anyhow, no worries. I just want to say thank you for being here. Is there any bill specific that kind of pulls at your heartstrings that you'd like to?
Well,
there's all of them.
There's 4. I mean, I've testified against AB 665.
Yes.
And I believe 957. One thing that I'm really scratching my head about and find difficult to really square is by allowing children as young as 12 to opt into mental health care, so-called mental health care, without consent or knowledge, that so-called mental health care could encompass and include gender-affirming care, which of course could include, and this by extension include the use of puberty blockers and wrong-sex hormones.
We see them related.
Well, right. So, but the thing is, the combination of those will cause sterility, permanent irreversible sterility in 4 months, as little as 4 months. So if we actually look at other aspects of the family code, and specifically Family Code Section 6925, paragraph B1 in particular, minors cannot be sterilized, even with parents' consent. And there's 3 separate California appellate decisions that uphold this. There's also the U.S. Supreme Court decision, Stump versus Sparkman, which upholds the principle that you cannot sterilize minors. So how is our legislature pursuing this? This is what I really kind of melts my mind, frankly.
Have you ever heard this question proposed to legislators?
No, I haven't heard a good.
Or a response.
I've heard no response. I'd really love to hear Scott Wiener explain this. But we have a really bad situation here in California, because effectively the policy, which will provide directives to the family court judges to favor custody for a so-called affirming parent over a non-affirming parent, that's already happened. That already is de facto the policy here in California. That's exactly what happened in my family's case. And there's quite a lot about my family story was told by Abigail Schreier and the story she did. Thank you, Abigail, for that.
Thank you, Abigail.
But there's more that came to light. I did eventually obtain access to the medical records and the progress notes for my son for the period before he turned 18. And in those progress notes, I learned that, for instance, UCSF engaged my son in a discussion about 4 different options for puberty blockers, and only one of which was a surgical option. So there were 2 different injections they could have used, or oral pills, spironolactone. So they had 3 other options, but they opted for the most expensive one, the only surgical one, which was specifically prohibited by our custody order.
And that did take place.
Yeah, that took place. So they had this informed consent conversation with my child when he was 16. They performed a surgery in contravention of the custody order when he was 17, and they hid this. Now we also see in the progress notes, and this is at UCSF Child Adolescent Gender Clinic. We see in the progress notes there was discussion about the custody situation. We know that UCSF had my custody order, so they can't claim that they were ignorant or unaware that there was a prohibition on the surgery, yet they did it. At the time, the lawyer for UCSF Child Adolescent Gender Clinic was Asaf Orr, who also at the time, I believe, was senior legal counsel for the Transgender Youth Project within the National Center for Lesbian Rights. So this lawyer, Asaf Orr, conspired with others, including my ex-wife, the Minors Council, and UCSF to violate the custody order. Now, the other part of that is that the use of, as I mentioned a moment ago, the use of puberty blockers and peroxide hormones. Well, the combinations of the chemicals will cause sterilization. Again, that's in direct violation of Family Code 6925. Now, the thing that's also very interesting is that this ASAP-4, I encourage your listeners, your viewers to check this individual out.
Can you spell that?
His first name is ASAF. His last name is ORR. Mr. Orr, in his previous role at NCLR, has taught numerous continuing legal education courses, not just in California, but across the country, training other lawyers and judges in so-called transgender law and custody matters.
Protect the children.
Protect the children.
So this Mr. Asaf Orr has taught numerous continuing legal education courses, but recently, this past October, he co-presented a class at the Contra Costa Bar Association in transgender custody law. It was a training class specifically designed for up-and-coming minors counsels. And he co-presented the class with my judge, with Judge Hiramoto. So now if you stop for a moment and before you even were to take a look at the content of that class, you need to think about who is presenting this class.
Sure.
The judge who issued a custody order in my matter prohibiting any surgery, any gender identity related surgery before the child turned 18 without requiring parental consent or certainly notification. I got neither. And Judge Hiramoto's co-presenter is this Asaf Orr who conspired to violate the custody order of the judge. You've got a criminal attorney, this Mr. Orr, and Judge Hiramoto now is also a criminal judge, which is, we can argue whether she's upheld or broken the law, but she's no longer in the family court. They moved over to the criminal division, so she is a criminal judge.
Are you still able to speak with your son? There's no obligation to.
I have two children. I mean, my older son has aged out. He's 19 now, so he's no longer under the family court jurisdiction. He's an adult, so his own person can do what he wants. He's a man's man. I'm really more concerned about what happened prior to that when he was still a minor, when I was ostensibly his parent. So this Mr. Asaf Orr no longer is with the National Center for Lesbian Rights Transgender Youth Project, nor is he with UCSF. He was promoted. He now is the Assistant Chief Counsel for the California Department of Civil Rights.
Shocked?
Now,
so the lady.
So we can probably infer what the Department of Civil Rights position on these matters is. I mentioned this class that Judge Hiramoto and Mr. Orr taught at the Contra Costa Bar Association. It is really quite a. I can't think of anything other than to say shit show. Every sentence uttered by each of those presenters is a lie, and if you observe, in particular, Mr. Orr, how he presents the material, he clearly knows and understands that he's presenting false information. He is knowingly presenting false information. The one other thing I do want to say about Mr. Orr is he's notorious for having been one of the two lead authors of the Schools in Transition document that Gender Spectrum distributes.
Gender Spectrum.
Right.
Okay.
And in fact, if you take a look at that document, the Schools in Transition document, in terms of its sources, its references, the only thing approaching an academic research reference is in Chapter 5, footnote 14. There's two papers both co-authored or both authored by Caitlin Ryan at the SF State Family Acceptance Project. And if you track down those papers by Caitlin Ryan, you'll see that there's no there. She has a very small sample size, 224 respondents to a survey, only Latino and white, so no other ethnic minorities or groups were represented in this self-selected survey. It includes gay, lesbian, and bisexual, but no trans people. And this research, so-called research, was done back in 2009.
Yeah.
So it doesn't include the current RGD cohort. Yet this is what ASAF always points to, family acceptance project, and that's effectively what Senator Wiener also stands on. That's his only reference and source, and it's junk. It's junk science. And what's very curious is that some of the same criticisms that were leveled against, say, Lisa Littman for her RGD paper, or Abigail Schreier's book, Irreversible Damage, which was largely based on Littman's study, as well as the very recently retracted, politically based retraction of Stephen Levine's paper, claiming that these were all flawed studies based on small sample size self-selection bias. But that exact same criticism would apply directly to Caitlin Ryan's work. Yet that is used, it's promulgated as the reason why children should be affirmed in transition. Otherwise, they'll suicide. It's a blackmail, emotional manipulation technique.
Are you willing to email me some of your sources? That way we can post it with your video?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ted. I really appreciate you.
You're most welcome.
I'll try to remember that video that you have like millions of kids. I told you about it like a few months ago. Thank you.
Jesus. That leader. Accountable. Repent our parents. Protect gay kids. Protect gay kids.
Leave the kids alone, Wiener.
That's how you're going to be ashamed. You're not going to be able to walk in the corner.
Ready, Lisa?
Oh, sure.
Hey.
Hi.
Good morning. What brings you to the Capitol?
I'm here because I have to stop this. I'm here because it started with the school, and the school changed my daughter's name not once but twice, and her gender twice. And so I have to fight all these bills because the school pays attention to the bills.
Yes.
It's all related.
And what county are you?
Contra Costa.
Contra Costa.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
They're
you.
rainbow people.
Yes.
Can you get my pens out? I have to give them to
Just Miss Wiener. Yes. Twice. In Southern California.
Okay. He said, we've all kind of joined.
You see that guy Wiener?
Yeah.
Also, you know Karen Bass. You know Karen Bass, the mayor of LA.
No.
She also came. Karen Bass.
I missed all the good things.
She's a congressman. Yeah, you missed all the good
Who
things.
are these people? So they have a permit, obviously, to be here.
Joe Patterson, Texas.
Oh,
You got this.
That guy's an ambulance chaser.
My body's still
Good morning. What brings you to the capital of California?
Well, my name is Lindley Kerr Hogan, and I have identical twins. And one of them came out 5 years ago thinking she's a boy because the school mental health told her so. But really, she's just a confused, beautiful child who's looking for the truth and has been lied to. So I'm here because I'm extremely angry. And so I'm positively expressing my anger here by saying, no, you need to leave our children alone. And if you don't have children, you have no business legislating for our parents.
Is that directed at anyone specifically?
Evan Lowe, I'm watching you. And Scott Wiener, I'm going to catch up to you eventually.
Okay,
but
all right.
Evan Lowe, yeah. I'm all over your ass, assembly man. And I have a video for you too. And you can come to my Rumble channel at Silicon Valley Truth Telling.
Silicon Valley Truth
Silicon Valley Truth on Rumble.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll support you, absolutely. Yes.
I really appreciate that, but I'm horrified by the rest of
Okay, yes, I know who you are. Yeah.
I know you.
Yes. Okay.
I don't want to. Good morning. What brings you to the Capitol today?
Well, I'm the mother of a son who was in what he calls the trans cult for a year and a half. He desisted. He never took hormones or puberty blockers or any of the surgeries, but he definitely watched a lot of YouTube videos and was on a lot of social media platforms for a good year and a half. And in that year and a half, he went from depressed to even more depressed and even more depressed. None of the social affirmation actually helped him. It just increased his discomfort with his body and what made him want to change it so that his body would match the pronouns and the new name that he was going by. My husband and I, his parents, we're incredibly LGBT rights people. We're incredibly progressive. We live in San Francisco. We've always said you can dress how you want, you can love who you want. He's had all sorts of influences and people in his life that have different types of lifestyles, and definitely lots of gay parents among our group. And we were really flummoxed, and I had to start trying to figure out what was going on as a public high school teacher. I also knew that a lot of kids that used to be just gay or just the weirdos or the kids like me, the punk rockers, the goths, the people that were like alternative, like all of a sudden they were all like super depressed. And instead of reading like gothic poetry or, being obsessed with horror films, they were all obsessed with trans ideation. It shifted. And this shift to me spoke to all of a sudden our kids are not loving themselves. They're not accepting themselves. They found a new thing to believe in that's really radical. And it's radical that as a high schooler, you need to be rebelling against things. And you want you're trying things on, but this is something that you try on and it will not be reversed. I mean, the detransition voices out there, I believe, are the strongest voices there are. My son eventually desisted from this ideology by watching and listening to detransitioners. That's what he says. He says they are the ones that spoke to him. He did suffer from an earlier trauma in middle school. He did suffer from a lot of body dysmorphia before it turned into body dysphoria. But when he came back fully. In the past 8 months, I've seen a young man grow and come into more responsibility, be much more confident, be much happier, be much more comfortable in his body. All of the pressure to play act a woman was too much. It was too much. It was crazy for him. It was hard for him. And
does your son know that you are out here representing protection of children with an experience
that he does not know that I'm here today, but he knows that I'm in this fight.
Okay.
He does, and he was actually interviewed recently by somebody on his own detransition. And
amazing.
So I hope to see him more and more in this fight himself, or at least on the college campus. He'll be at a very small liberal arts school, and I hope that he will be a voice of reason and a voice that encourages people to accept their authentic selves, which is their body integration, and to accept the that you can act and be and have any personality and love whoever you want and dress up however you want. You just do not need to pay a bunch of money to some pharmaceutical companies or, go along with a bunch of these TikTok doctors, and you can just be your authentic self without this media contagion, this social contagion, which you definitely was part of.
Your voice is so imperative. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and we know. I'll catch you. Thank you so much. You want to chat? You want to chat?
Oh, sure.
This is me. We're around town.
Okay.
Good morning.
And what do you do?
We do social. We just bring issue to this specific platform, this issue.
All right.
Here often in the Capitol. I would love to know why you're here today, what you do, what you're up to, and what brings you here specifically today.
Okay. My name is Chief Gibbs, and I'm running for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District of California, which is Marin County, Sonoma County, Mendocino, Humboldt, Del Norte, and Trinity County. So it's a pretty big area.
Great.
And one of my biggest reasons for being here today is because I really believe in protecting children. And right now, personally, I'm here to protect my daughter. My daughter is a female wrestler. She wrestles in college. She has an amazing scholarship. She is ranked in the state of California. She's top 10 in the state for her weight class. And, woo!
Allies. Thank you, T.
And so we have everyone knows right now who Riley Gaines is, right? She's the swimmer who's out there trying to say we need to protect women's sports, which I 100% agree with. She's a swimmer. We have the track star ladies that are their scholarships are being taken, their places on the podium are being taken away, and that's really serious. My daughter is in a very physical sport, and she wrestles with other women. And if a man comes to the wrestling world and says, I believe I'm a woman, and then she has to wrestle him, if she's forced somehow to do that, which I would never allow, but I need to protect her and other women too. If she has to wrestle a man, she could potentially have her life in danger. If he snaps her down, he could break her neck, he can wrench her arm out of her socket, and I have promised I'm not going to let that happen. I am going to protect my daughter, and I'm going to protect other women.
And the future.
And the future, absolutely.
Of any athlete.
Yes, and so I'm here today especially because this transgender ideology, gender movement is targeting young children, and we need to protect those kids because those kids are going to grow up and they're going to be demanding to be in the sports, and we don't want that. We need to protect biological women and girls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Protect female athletes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I appreciate you. And good luck on your campaign.
Thank you.
Support. Is there a way we can find you on socials?
Yes, so I'm tforcongress.com.
Like 4?
The number 4.
Okay.
And same with my Facebook page and Instagram page.
Thank you.
T4 Congress. TIEF 4, the number 4 Congress.
We gotcha.
Thank
We'll
you.
Support you. Thank you for being here. Woo.
I got to the last service.
Well, we got Mr. Scott Wiener. Please support anyone who's here. And anywhere, I'll be with you in just a moment. Support anyone who is here protecting children. Speak up, we have epic time.
Now, but actually, based on the leading scientists, it was in October 2019. They are the team, went to the hotel.
Yeah, I'm here.
Went to the hotel.
You opened us up. Is there anything you'd like to share? You good? Done? Tired?
We think. No, well, because you're live streaming.
Good morning.
I'm just checking. Good morning.
Hello.
What brings you to the Capitol today?
Well, I'm here to oppose what's happening at the state capitol. We have Democrat lawmakers that are trying to take away parental rights and give it to the state. And they're pushing a number of bills that is really scary. AB 665, AB 952. I'm normally not involved with California politics, but I'm starting to learn about it.
How long have you been in California?
Oh, all my life. I'm a native.
There's so many natives here today. This is wonderful. It's a great turnout.
I'm also part of the gay community. I've identified as gay most of my life. But I believe in protecting children from the trans agenda. Narrative that's happening.
Everywhere.
It's very frightening.
Do you feel welcomed within that quote community for speaking out? Are you publicly speaking out within your?
I've been active on Facebook.
Ooh.
Media.
Uh-oh.
But I do feel uneasy being a gay event because, I do more identify with conservative values and, the trans issue is a hotbed topic, and I think it's designed that way because with all this pushback, it's hard to talk common sense to people about the issue.
Yep.
So, I can't be militant about these issues or if I go to a gay pride event. Kind of have to, blend in, I guess.
Yep. It feels like a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's odd. The gay community, it's not a gay community anymore. Which is fine. What people don't realize is our community has been rebranded. It's mostly heterosexual today with a twist.
A big twist.
They identify with the 72 gender identities that are under the transgender umbrella. They identify with all the extra letters. You got LGB, and then the rest are basically heterosexual, and they're beautiful. And it's a new day for the community. But it's important to recognize it's not just gays and lesbians anymore.
Thank you for coming out and speaking out. We need you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
And if you tell two people, and they tell two people, and they tell two people, we will end this, and we've got to end it. There's an urgency. We don't have much time. We're at a critical time where all of us are going to lose our kids. It's really at the pinnacle. We're at the precipice of it being game over, and we can't have it be game over. If we don't stop it in California, we can't stop it anywhere else in the country because this is where it grew, and we have to kill it here. So tell more people. Have the conversations, one-on-one conversations. Keep looking out for calls to action and showing up. It matters. It's, the little drips of water in the bucket eventually fills the bucket up. We have to be those little drips. So I want to say thank you, and I want to say everybody, buddy system, stay together, turn your signs around. The people around here can be pretty scary. Okay? Thank you so much. If there's any public school teachers here, can you come over and talk to us? If there's any public school teacher.
AB 659, you need to send the contact person to me. Yes, I know.
Everybody, the signs, please, if you can put the signs back over where the yellow, white route sign is over there.
Thank you for your support. You're listening to the voices of signing out.